Hey, my name is Jose Hernandez. I wanted to thank you personally for taking the time to watch this video and introduce you to the first installment of my Investment Basics and Investment Principles course. The whole point of me even doing this is, even though I'm more than grateful for my opportunity to serve as a corporate wealth management advisor the past few years of my life, I'm more than aware of the fact that my generation specifically just doesn't know where to start when it comes to investing, money, finance. They feel like it's way over their head. Always talk about how we learn how the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, but don't understand what a 401k is. So my whole goal here is to educate every single one of you watching this video, answer your questions along the way, and make sure that we can start debunking some of those myths about investing, like, oh, I need $1 million to get started and be successful, or I don't get it, so it's over my head, so I'm scared to even start. We'll talk about a lot of different things as a part of this video course, and as we continue to work together, I'll put on a lot of great content both here on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So today we'll be covering the reason why we should even start investing in the first place, and I think I have a lot of great information for you and look forward to teaching you in this video. So like anything else in life, we want to start with, why is it important that we even do this? Why is it important that I invest the money that I've worked hard to earn when I can do things like Netflix, go to the movies with friends, or whatever it is that you like? And I think it's an important question to have an answer to, which I haven't really seen a whole lot of clear ones out there other than in my professional line of work. So what this video will do is give you 3 really good topics and reasons as to why it's important to even invest in the first place. That first topic that we'll cover is compounding interest, and what it is, some examples, and why you should keep it in mind. The second topic is why time is your best friend in your investments. Time is something that's super critical to keep in mind, and we'll give you some real examples there. And then lastly, we always want to be mindful of what's called inflation. Inflation is a hidden killer, and it's something that a lot of people aren't aware of and don't keep in mind. So I'll give you some examples and show you why it's important to keep these 3 things in mind and know why it is important to start investing now. So the first key topic here and why it's important to invest in the first place is compounding interest. What is compounding interest? The simplest way of explaining it is it's interest that's accumulating on top of the interest that your original investment has hopefully gotten up to this point. Let's look at some numbers to make more sense of what the snowballing effect of compounding really is. In this example, we start with $1,000. That $1,000 is growing by a steady 10% every year for 5 years. At the end of year 1, that $1,000 has grown to $1,100. Pretty simple. Year 2, we're starting with $1,100. We're not starting with the original $1,000. Remember, we got some interest. That $1,100 is going to grow again by 10%. We now have $1,210 in our account at the end of year 2. We continue this example for 5 years, and at the end of year 5, that original $1,000 investment has grown to $1,610. How is that possible? Well, simply because the original $1,000 investment that you made is earning interest at 10%, and then every year you're starting with a higher account value or balance because you're adding to the interest that that original investment got, plus the interest from the year before. So that's why we call it compounding, because it quite literally snowballs over a period of time, and that's how wealth is created. So now that we have a good understanding of the principles of how compounding interests work, let's take a look at 2 different examples. In this example, I created 2 different people. One of them we'll call Sally. She's smart and understands that time is your best friend in investing and understands that compounding interest is powerful. She starts at age 20 and she invests $100 every month for 20 years. Second example, we have Mike. Mike, for whatever reason, feels like he needs to wait until later in life when he can start investing, and he starts at age 40. Mike, just like Sally, invests for 20 years, but instead of $100, he is making a little bit more because he's older, and let's say that he is now investing $300 instead of the $100 that Sally is putting away. Common sense may tell you, well, they both invested for the same amount of time, and one of them put $200 away more than the other monthly, it would make more sense that Mike ends up in a better position, right? Well, let's take a look at the example. So starting with Sally, again, she did $100 monthly for 20 years from age 20 to 40. Assuming a 8% gross return on her investments, she actually ends up with $58,902 at age 40. Now, Mike, again, doesn't start until he's actually 40, so he starts the game with zero. So let's recap on some numbers here. Sally, she was smart, started off earlier in life, started investing at age 20, put away $100 every month for 20 years, and at age 40, she had $58,902, the power of compounding interest. Mike doesn't start until age 40 for whatever reason. He knows that time is not on his side, and he begins to put away $300 monthly away into that account. When it's all said and done, Sally ends up actually investing $24,000, and Mike, over that time, again, same 20-year period, he put away $72,000. At the age of 60, Sally, again, hasn't put away any more dollars since age 40. She's had 20 years of growth. Her account balance is $290,198. Mike, who, again, was putting away more money for the same amount of time, his account value at age 60, 20 years from when he started, is $176,706. So what does that mean? What's the big deal here? The big deal is Sally put away $48,000 less than Mike and stopped investing when Mike got started. Mike put away $72,000 over the period of 20 years. Sally, she started, again, at age 20, stopped at age 40. She put away $24,000. Sally ends up with $290,198 in her account at age 60. Mike, who only had 20 years to invest, while he put away more money, only ends up with $176,706. The difference in the ending wealth in this example is $113,492 in favor of Sally. And what's funny here is they both invested for the same amount of time, 20 years, but she invested $48,000 less than Mike. That's power. So the whole point here is time is your best friend in investing, and using the power and tool of compounding interest, you can actually end up with a greater amount of wealth when it's all said and done by putting away less dollars than someone else who starts off later in life. Now again, this is purely an example and the figures are just for illustration, but it's very important to see the power of starting early and why you should be investing in the first place. Okay, so we understand compounding interest, we understand why it's important to start early and the power of time and compounding interest paired together. Let's talk about something that's not really well understood or talked about enough, and that's inflation. What is inflation? Well, the economic definition is a general increase in prices and fall in the purchasing value of money. Okay, that just really means that the same amount of dollars is buying you a lesser amount of goods or products or services over a period of time. Real life example, you look at the price of milk 10 years ago, it was actually a lot less expensive then. That's not because milk's gotten worse in quantity or value or anything like that. It's simply because inflation has become more and more real. When I was working with retirees, this is one of the main things that I really had to harp on. And inflation, again, simply being that your dollars buy less and less over time. I wanted to come up with an example that is very easy to understand but shows the power of that. In this example, we are assuming that we need $48,000 annually or $4,000 a month to live comfortably. In this case, let's call it retirement. We're assuming an inflation rate of 2%, which is pretty close to what it's been historically. And we are going out a couple of years to see how much money it takes to get the same amount of goods, services, products, whatever, compared to the original $48,000 that we started with. So we start out with looking out 5 years. We originally needed $48,000, but that $48,000 is buying us less and less goods over time. 5 years has gone by and we're assuming a 2% inflation rate, it actually takes us now $52,995 to get the same amount of goods. So if you want to live the same lifestyle of $48,000, after 5 years, you're going to have to be able to spend $52,995. To go to the extreme side of things, let's just look at 20 years. So $48,000 worth of lifestyle, movies, going out, whatever you want to call it. Now, that same amount of lifestyle is going to cost us in future years worth of dollars, $71,325. Let me say it again. In 20 years, the same $48,000 worth of goods is now worth $71,325. So to get around the inflation itself, we have to invest and hopefully get a good amount of growth in our investments that not only allow us to spend, in this case, the $48,000 annually. Hopefully we've grown up to a point where we can spend that for several decades, but we also have to outpace or at least keep up with inflation. That way we're not sacrificing lifestyle. That way we're not having to take less trips or buy less goods, or do whatever it is that you do in a lesser fashion, because you're having to sacrifice that in order to spend technically the same amount of money. We're not talking really here in terms of money. We're talking about lifestyle and purchasing power. So investing early is going to help you start getting the growth that you need sooner than later, and that's going to help you begin to outpace the hidden killer that we call inflation. Alright, so we've covered a lot today. We've talked about why it's important to understand what compounding interest is. It's the main reason why we invest in the first place. We've talked about why time is our best friend and how that plays into compounding interest. And we also covered what inflation is, the hidden killer in any type of plan. If you don't plan around inflation being a part of your plan, what's going to happen is you're going to end up having to spend more money than you originally thought. That's going to take years off your plan. Or even worse, if you want to spend the same amount of money every year, you're going to have less quality of a lifestyle, be able to take less trips, buy less food, etc. So hopefully these 3 topics give you an idea of what's important to keep in mind as to why I should even invest in the first place and why I should start earlier than later. We will continue to come out with great content and educational videos like this as a part of our Investment Basics series. So if you like what we saw today, please feel free to share it, comment below, or subscribe to the channel, and we will continue to do our best to make sure that you're understanding what money is and how to make the most out of it. Hey guys, one last thing. Just wanted to say thank you for watching the video. Hopefully you got a lot of good out of it and learned some things that maybe didn't make sense when you learned them in school, or maybe they weren't even taught to you in the first place, so that's always great. I'm here with my pup Penny. She is my office dog and she helps me with these videos, so I always want to give her some credit. But in all seriousness guys, if you have questions on what we looked at today, something didn't make sense, you want more examples, or you want the link to the actual spreadsheet that I put together for the examples, feel free to leave me a comment below just asking for it. I'm happy to do so. But until next time, I look forward to coming out with some more great videos, educating you further. Follow me on Instagram, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the future.